Happy Friday, everyone! I'm back in my Death Star Derby toy box, along with Han Solo, and today I'm going to finish the Death Star corridors that I started last time and build the hangar bay, and that's going to go over this direction. So this is where we're going to be building. Here's some screenshots of the corridors that I'm going to build. There are light panels that run along each corridor at regular intervals. There are also blast doors, like this one, which can seal off parts of the station from other areas. One such blast door leads directly into the hangar where the Millennium Falcon was parked. That's where Obi-Wan and Darth Vader had their lightsaber duel, of course. So we're going to begin over here, and just as a refresher for where we are, the starting line is over that way. And the elevators that we built last time are right here. So this is continuing on around this direction. So I'm going to pick up this piece of terrain here and put it down. And I've already set the default theme that we used last time. This first block is going to go right up here like this. And that's going to be followed by a long flat terrain block that's going to sit on the end like that. Alright, let me pick up my screen grabs here. Okay, so we're going to start then with this long, tiny, thin block, and really this is a spacer to get everything else to line up where I want it. This is going to sit right in here along the back side of the abyss, like that. And then this next block is going to sit right here like that. And I'm going to put two of these down and one more that isn't going to sit here. It's just going to serve as a spacer for right now. And then we'll go to the next size larger, and this was going to sit right over here like that. All right. And at this point we can go ahead and move this piece down here about half a block, one little nudge from that corner. So that's where I want that to sit. And that's going to create kind of like a little, what looks like a crossway as you're driving through here. The player's not going to look down there and see that that actually ends. But it looks like you're coming to a crossroad. And we'll build the first blast door here before we put the other side in. This will kind of tell us where the other side has to go. So we're going to put this one block over like that. And then we're going to run 3 of these across. And I'll flip these around so the texture is not quite as repetitive. So just like that. And for the blast door itself, there is a small ramp. Let's see if I can find it. Here it is. So this is going to be the bottom edge of the blast door. Unfortunately, I don't have one that's inverted, but we can come up to the blocks drawer, and we do have this one. So we'll put this up here like that, and I'm going to go ahead and set the style for this. And we'll have to scroll over to the right a ways, but I'm looking for the Death Star theme. There it is, Death Star tile. I'll set that to be my theme because we're going to put down a few of these. And then we'll flip one around and put it on the other side. So there's our blast door. All right, and then we'll come back down to the terrain drawer, go back to the left to this really long flat block. And this is going to sit on the end of that blast door just like that, like you see there. And that gets us to the same point. Actually, no, that doesn't. Got to move this over. Sorry, a little bit. Good thing I checked that, because we need a spacer in here. I forgot about that. So this needs to sit in here, and before we do that, we got several of these we need to put along here. Let me grab my screenshot here to make sure I put these in the right spot. Okay, so the first one is going to sit in here like this. And that's one block between them. That's 2 blocks between them. So the next one's going to sit there. Next one will sit 2 blocks down like that. Another 2 blocks down, and we'll put in 2 of these like that. That had some visual interest on that wall that we'll develop here shortly. Alright, so now with this up against that block, the edge of this, oops, sorry for spinning the camera so much. The edge of this block should line up, be right across from the edge of that block. And it is, so that's perfect. And while we're right here, let's pick this one up and put it down. And we're going to do the same thing we did on the opposite side. Like that. And then we'll bring this one over. Put that in there like that. Okay. And now on this end, we're going to put in another set of blast doors. This will be the ones leading into the hangar. So I'm going to basically build exactly what I did for the other blast doors. And rather than scroll through the drawer, it might be quicker. Come over here and pick this up and put it down. And then we can drop one down here. And one on the other side. And then back to the blocks drawer. And there's our entrance into the hangar. So that looks pretty good. Alright, before we move on to the hangar, let's go ahead and add some detail in here. So we're going to go up to Building Sets Group 5, and we're going to go to the right until we get to these wall panels. And we're going to place these. I'm going to place one on either side of these. We don't need one on the back side because the player is never going to see that, so we can skip that one. That'll save a little bit of memory, because the player is not likely to go backwards through here. And that helps call attention to the fact that there's something sticking out there. And then we'll go ahead and put one of these on the middle of each block. Like that. On this side, we'll put one about a block out from the edge of that wall. And let's see. Lost my place. There we go. Okay, the next one goes right on the left side of the terrain seam below. So that one sits in there like that. This one sits one block away from there in that spot. That adds some nice detail as you come around the corner there. Over here we'll put one right here to kind of cover up that seam. One on the other side, equally spaced. So there we have that. All right, for the corridor, let me scroll down here. Okay. On this side, we are going to place one here about one block from the right edge of that block, and I'm going to put 2 of them down. And the next one will go 1 block from the edge of that terrain seam on the wall. And then we need to put ones on the opposite side like that. Okay. And then we'll essentially mirror what we did there on this end. And the next one I want to put halfway between those and the blast door. So I think that's about halfway. And we can kind of measure that with a terrain block here. Yeah, so that's exactly where I want that. And then we need one directly across from there on the other wall. And then around the corner for these, we're going to do the same thing. Like that. And we don't need to put any on the opposite side. The player won't see those. So those light panels add a lot of detail, which is great. Okay, a couple more little decorations here. If we come to the plants drawer and we go to Fantasy Terrain 3, this is one of the customizable pieces in the plants drawer. And we're going to turn it with that little sprig out facing this direction. And I want to line it up with the edge of that panel and kind of center it in this area like that. Okay. And then we'll go ahead and style this. And that becomes this Death Star Terrain 3, which I like. And I'll pick that up and put it down. We'll flip it around and put one down on this side, about a half a block from that wall, so it's not in the way of the cars. And we'll put another one over there like that. That adds some nice little detail as you drive through here. All right, and that brings us to the hangar bay. This is another one of those iconic locations on the Death Star that I really want to include in my toy box. So here's a screenshot of it. There's a wall of lighted beams on the right that run from floor to ceiling, and along the back is the opening into space, which is protected by a force field. In the back left is a corridor that leads away from the hangar bay, and there's also a pit on the left side of the floor, which will make a great obstacle for the cars to avoid. So as we come back out here to the scene, let's go into the editor, go back to the terrain drawer, and it might be quicker to pick this piece back up and put it down versus scrolling in the drawer. And I'm going to place this down like that. And I'm going to use this as a spacer. And that's all I'm really doing with this piece. Let's see. I want to make sure. Need to get to my screen grabs here. Okay. All right, so let's pick this piece up. Put it down. And we're going to come over here and drop this one right there. And actually, it's the next size larger, sorry. That's what I thought I had. That's going to sit in there just like that. So if I come in here and get you a closer look, you can see how that's placed with regard to our spacer. And so we can go ahead and take that out now. And then we're going to put two of these down. So one there, one there. And then we'll go back up to Building Sets Group 5 and go left till we get to that pit. And this is going to sit in here just like this. I actually rotated that way. So just like that. Okay. And then the next piece. I lost my place with my... Okay, so the next piece is going to be this one. This is going to sit out here like this. And the fact that it sticks off the end there isn't a big deal. We're actually going to put a couple more of these over here. So one there, one there. All right, and I think that's all the floor that we'll put in for today. Okay, so for the walls of the hangar, let's use this for a spacer again. We're going to put down one of these and then two of those. So like that. And I thought I had these all organized the way I wanted them. My screen grabs, there we go. All right. We actually need this large terrain block, and this is going to sit in here right next to that little cube that we just dropped a moment ago. And so it's going to sit in here like this. Once again, let me get in here a little bit closer so you can see how that sits. So that's where I placed that block. That's going to be the wall of the hangar that has those lighted beams that run from floor to ceiling. Excuse me. All right, and then over here, we're going to come back to this thin and tiny block. I'm going to put this right off the corner of that terrain like this. And we're going to need 4 of these. Like that. Followed by this big one. That's going to sit in here like this. And we'll put 3 of these in here for right now. Okay, so there's the opening for the spacecraft to come in. Now let's go back to the blocks drawer, and we're going to pick up the long block here. And I'm going to place the first one right here like that. And before we put down any more, we need to style this. So if we go over from here to the left to this plastic 2, I'm going to set that to be my theme. There we go. And then we'll run a row of 4 of these across. We'll come up here and run another set of 4 of these across here. Followed by this long block, which should sit in there just like that. Okay, so there's our opening. And don't worry about the fact that there's a gap here. We're going to cover that up in a little bit. All right, so this is looking pretty good so far. I think the next place to go is over here. We'll put in this side of this wall for the hangar. So once again, let's go back up to Building Sets Group 5 and go to the right. And we have these Death Star walkways. And what's interesting is this one, and I'm not caring about the top of it as much as I am the side with those pipes. I just really like the look of that, because that's what you see in the hangar bay. So I'm going to place that there like that. And that's lined up on the edge of that 3rd block that I put down. And then we'll go back to the terrain drawer. Pick up this long tiny block, and we should have 2 of these that we need, like that, with the 3rd one down like this. And actually, let me take that out. These aren't actually what we need there. What we need is this one, and you'll see why next week, but this one's going to sit in here like that. That forms the wall of the corridor as you head down away from the hangar. All right, so there is that wall. So I like that. And let's go ahead and do one more of those. Well, this will eventually sit in here like this. And that will form the back end of this, this piece. Let's go ahead and just put it down for right now. I'll probably move that next week when we go to build that corridor, but and actually I think it's got to go a half a block further to the left. Yeah. Just like that. Okay, so there's that side of it. And now we'll add in some detail. So on this side, we'll go up to the plants drawer, and we need this Fantasy Terrain Strip 1. And we're going to put down 4 of these across this side of the hangar. And then we'll go ahead and style them. And this gives us those light beams that I like. And that also covers up that gap that was between those blocks. So that's why we didn't need to put a piece of terrain out there to fill that in. So there's that. And back up to building sets group 5. If we go back to the left, we have these Death Star pipes. This adds some nice detail. And these go, let's see if I can get this in the right spot. Doesn't quite matter, but we're going to put this out here a little ways away from the edge of the wall. We'll put another one right over here against this wall. Keep that out of the way of the cars. And then we're going to put a light panel up here on the wall like this. And we'll do a block and a half like that. Actually, just a block. That'll kind of cover up that seam. So we'll do like that. Alright, so the hangar's looking really good. Now we just need the back wall of the hangar. And that'll also serve as the ceiling for this area. So for this, give me just a moment here while I find that screen grab. Okay. So back down to the terrain drawer. And I'm going to line up the right edge of that block with those light panels that you see there on the right. And I'm going to line it up just like that. Okay. And then this piece will sit over here like that. So there is the entrance into the hangar bay. And we now have a back wall over there. And I'm not going to put the ceiling in for this area just yet, because we have a little bit more work to do over here when we build that hangar, or that corridor leading off over that way. But I think that's enough for today. Next week I'll build the passages that lead away from the hangar bay to the exterior of the station. Before you go, leave a comment to let me know what you think of my Death Star recreation so far. I haven't had many comments on my videos lately, so I'd love to hear from you. Let me know if you're still watching. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel or follow me on my blog if you haven't done that already. Have a great weekend.